Today's guest is someone whose story stays with you long after you hear it, which is why I've continued to stay in touch and support her long after we first met. Phyllis DiNardi is the founder of We Are Loved, a New Jersey nonprofit supporting children in foster care with dignity, care, and deep human connection. Before launching the organization, Phyllis and her husband fostered 49 children, yes, 49 over many years. And when it was time to hang up their foster parenting hat, she didn't walk away. She built something new. In this conversation, we're going to talk about what she's learned from decades of loving and advocating for kids, how We Are Love came to be, and what real support looks like from communities, businesses, and the people who show up. Phyllis, welcome.
Thank you, Dan. I really appreciate it. And it was my pleasure and honor to meet you through LinkedIn, and being able to stay connected with you. I appreciate that so much.
Excellent. So, you've been a mom, a CASA, which is a court-appointed special advocate, a foster parent to nearly 50 children, and now a nonprofit funder. What did young Phyllis think she'd be doing with her life?
My dream job was to be a nurse. So
Oh,
I always wanted to be involved with helping people and stuff like that. That was my dream job. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I was married at a very young age and had my first daughter, 18 years old. So I've been busy for a long time. Um, and, just caring for people and stuff was always my dream job. I owned a preschool for many years, and working with kids is definitely something that really brings me a lot of joy.
awesome. So, Phyllis, do you remember the first time that you realized the foster care system wasn't working the way it should and what that moment felt like?
Honestly, I didn't, and I know it's going to sound really strange. I never really heard about foster care growing up for whatever reason. But when I moved out here I used to live in Bayonne. When I moved out here, there was an article for the CASA, court appointed advocate. And I was like, oh, if I can advocate for kids, that would be great. So I applied for that. Um, and then when I started learning everything, because as a CASA, you get to be involved in every aspect of a child's life, from their biological family, their resource families, their teachers, their doctors, their therapists, their caseworkers. It was just astonishing that I had no idea this happened, and I'm already like in my 50s. So that was scary.
Take us to the moment when the idea for We Are Love became real. What pushed you from foster parenting? And I know you said, there was also a move where you and your husband couldn't foster anymore because of where you were living. But what pushed you from that into building a nonprofit, which are both obviously challenging endeavors?
So the last two girls that we had, our foster daughters, they were with us for almost 5 years, and we really thought we were going to be their forever home. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, and they were returned to their mom, who was actually their abuser, quite severe. And they hadn't been with her for almost 7 years. And now they're young teenagers, and it was kind of scary letting them go and not knowing what the future was going to be like. So the mom and I made it clear that the mom and I needed to spend at least 6 months together to make sure that I felt the girls were going to be safe and she understood what was going on and where they were at in their lives. Um, Going home, when we dropped them off, they were very happy that we had made that connection. And they looked at us and they said, Mrs. D, we're going to be okay because we know we are loved. But moving forward on that, they used to contact me and say, Mrs. D, we have no food in the house. Mrs. D, we don't have clean clothes. We don't have nothing to eat, whatever. I knew that wasn't true, but their lifestyle had changed and they were pretty much had to be self-sufficient. Their mom worked very long hours and they were left alone a lot. So we used to FaceTime and I would help them cook a meal or wash their clothes or whatever. And I knew that these kids were just being put back there without having those basic life skills that were super important, and that we kind of take advantage of. And we did stuff as mom. You do those kind of things, right? And unfortunately, a lot of these kids, their parents work long hours, or they're not able to help them and do that. So it was just something I thought was super important, and I saw it was lacking with a lot of the kids that did come into our home.
Wow, so that's both heart-wrenching, but also, encouraging in terms of what you were able to do with it. And I know you talk about those two sisters. I've seen it on your website and everything. And obviously, that's where the name came from. We are loved. As long as we know we are loved, we're going to be okay. So now, how did you go from that moment, which obviously is tugging on your heartstrings, knowing you got to do something, to actually launching, programs and operations, which is not an easy thing to do for a brand new nonprofit.
So having fostered the 49 kids, most of them were younger, like teenagers or 10 or up. Um, so I saw what was missing in their lives when they came to me. A lot of them, when we would go to get washed up the first night they were there, they didn't even recognize what a bar of soap was. A lot of them never even seen that. Their teeth, unfortunately, were in bad, bad shape. So, again, we had to work on, hygiene, different things like that. A lot of them had no idea, even about schoolwork, because I would set up a schedule and talk with them and say, okay, so when did you do your homework? And we go, we didn't do homework. Or when did you, read your book, do your reading or do it, like, and nothing was there. So moving along, I was just realizing everything that was lacking in their lives. And then I saw the things that my husband and I and my kids and my family did for them that made a big impression on them. So like say for the holidays, we all had matching pajamas, right? So of course, if they were in our home at that time, they had the same matching pajamas. And it made such a big impression because they're like, we never had matching pajamas, with our family and stuff like that. So that's when we come with our holiday boxes. So we set a tradition, like, so Christmas Eve, they can open this box, they have a nice blanket, they have matching pajamas, they can make hot chocolate with their family, bake cookies, do a craft, read a book. All the things that I saw while the kids with me and what I did with my family, that made a big impression that I became really important to them.
That's great. So you really just took what you had lived with your children and what you saw with the foster children, what they needed, and it wasn't necessarily the obvious things. I mean, you talk about like matching pajamas. I mean, nobody would think through that, but you saw what kind of a smile it put on their face, and it sounds like that's where you draw a lot of your inspiration from in terms of the programs you're running with We Are Loved.
Exactly. It was just experience the response that I was getting with the certain things that we did do while they were with us, which made a really big impression on them. And of showing
Right.
them security and love and consistency, you know, I aggravated a lot of them. They would thought I was like, a nutcase. But later on, I got nice text messages thanking me for being so persistent and believing in them. And they did, thank God, a lot of them did very well. They went to college, some of them married with children, have good jobs, went into the service, so getting on their case wasn't so bad, I guess.
No, absolutely not. People need that. I think that's great. And like you said, and that's a lot of the time with kids, whether it's foster kids or non-foster kids, is it's until they're adults and they look back, then they're appreciative of the tough love, which they may not have
Right.
appreciated at the time, but that's wonderful. Let me ask you something. I read a lot of the stuff you put out there about these foster kids and listening to you today, but what do you think people misunderstand about either foster kids or foster families that you wish more people knew?
The biggest misperception is that the kids are bad. The kids aren't bad. The kids are in a bad situation. Yeah, do they act out? Do some of them have, mentalish problems or insecurities, or, you know, they're not perfect. Of course, they're not perfect, but what they've gone through or seen in such a short time of their lives, and even to build that security that someone cares about them and loves them, someone that they count on, like their biological parents or their families, is heart wrenching. So they are going to rebel when they come to someone's home, especially a stranger's home. Can you imagine as a kid coming in the middle of the night, being taken away by strangers and then be put with strangers? Like, what do you expect them to do, or how do you expect them to react? And then not to show them that they belong to your family now. They're a part of your family, and show them love and security. Yeah, they give them a bed and they give them some meals or whatever. A lot of families are not embracing the kids the way they should be. And so there are going to be behaviors. And then the kids are moved again to the next home. And can you imagine how being that, like one little boy we had, the first boy that I had, that's why I became a foster parent. He was 12 years old and he had already been in 17 different homes. Like, what do you expect? And he was known as the grumpy old man. The grumpy old man, he had 3 failed adoptions, 17 different homes. He's only 12 years old. He was entitled to be a grumpy old man, So people have to understand these kids are amazing. They are amazing. We were blessed. We never had any major issues. But again, I have six of my own kids. I'm a pretty structured person. I'm try to be pretty fun. I mean, I feel like you have to bring humor and fun into things. But consistency is super important. Like if we set a bedtime or we set certain things, I'm sticking to it. Now that we have recordings, if this is a show you like, we can record it. And when on the weekend we could watch it, or you have to do your certain things. And it works. It works. Yeah, they might get mad at the moment, but they're not acting out to the point where it becomes a difficult situation and I have to have them like leave my home or something.
Right. I
I wouldn't
mean,
get rid of my own kid when he acts out.
I agree, although there were times, but yes, I agree.
Yes.
You kept saying when you're telling those stories, you keep saying, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine being in 17 homes at the age of 12? And the fact is, no, I can't. I mean, grew up privileged, one home, two parents, stability, had everything we needed. And, was everything perfect? Of course not. But, then you put it in perspective with something like that. I can't even imagine. It's almost incomprehensible to a lot of people what these kids go through. So I think you make a wonderful point as far as, not necessarily misconception, but just what people don't really think about. These are not bad kids. They're kids. I don't think they're all
Right.
bad kids. There's kids and they've just been put in terrible situations. So, and what you've done for them is amazing. So you've worn a lot of hats, Phyllis, and you're still wearing a lot of hats. That's your thing. So you've been a founder, a fundraiser, an organizer, a mentor, obviously a foster parent. What part of leading a nonprofit has surprised you the most? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Wow, it's exhausting. I really went in with the intention like, oh, this is going to be so cute and so sweet, and I'm going to have this and I'm going to have that, and then I didn't realize all the other things that trying to get people to sponsor you, trying to get the donations in, trying to even get the families to bring the kids to be able to utilize the services that you have, and the DCP&P office. Everybody's so busy and time is so limited. Everybody needs everything, but it's so hard to get everyone to work together as a team to make it happen. So it's like it's constantly, reaching out to people, constantly reminding people, constantly trying to figure out how do we make it easier on them so that we can help them with the kids to make their if we have it and we can stabilize these kids and make them feel loved and cared for and everything, then it will help the resource parent, it'll help the worker, the caseworkers. Everything is a domino effect, right? But yet nobody has time to make it happen. So and of course, funding is always a tough one, because you want to do so much and there's so many kids out there. And unfortunately, I got a call yesterday, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better. So the need is even greater than we even expected, that I'm even aware of, and I'm pretty involved. So I'm like shocked when I hear from different offices in other counties, because we're like in 4 or 5 counties right now. And one county that we're not in reached out and they were like, we heard about you and we need so much help. And I was like, we're there. We'll do the best that we can. So it's a lot, and it's scary, and we hope that we can wear these hats and bring in more people to support us and help us. And if they have specialized you know um, qualities that would benefit us, in different aspects of like finance and social media and marketing, and just even being comfortable reaching out to sponsors and corporate people and stuff like you do, kind of thing, because we can only do so much, and any support and help would be appreciated there.
Oh, there's no question. And I'm sure, the desire is always there to expand your services. Like you said, another county is asking, but, you also have to be careful. You want to be able to deliver the programs, the right way. And so, it's tough. It's pulling you in a lot of different directions. Has there ever been a time since We Are Love was formed that, the challenges just became too great? Did you ever thought, maybe this isn't the right way to go? And, but you push through it every day?
Oh yeah, every morning at 4:30 in the morning when I wake up, and I'm like, here goes my day again. I'm like, oh, what am I doing? And my friends are like, they're all retired and they're all traveling, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, but this is where my heart is. I don't know. Yet I get frustrated because I can't do as much as I want to do or as well as I think I can do. But I can't give up on these kids because I saw how well they can do with just a little bit of love and support. I can't let go of it. Yeah.
So, do you have any sage advice for other founders or new leaders in this space who feel just overwhelmed? Because obviously it's a pretty common feeling these days in the nonprofit sector. Feel overwhelmed by how much needs to be done.
Yeah, so I guess the basic thing was before you really dive in too hard is make sure you have a really good backup support system. Everybody says they want to help until it's time to help. And then, everybody's busy or things come up, whatever. So I would definitely want to get my base, my groundwork, or my ground, everything, people and stuff more in tune and more committed. Yeah, before I kind of move forward and take on more or reach out to different things. You need a better support of more committed people. Everybody wants to help, especially when it comes to kids, until it's time
Right.
to help.
No, that makes yeah, exactly. Everybody has the intention. Nobody has necessarily the time and the
Right.
focus. So let's talk a little bit about expansion. I know we spoke a few weeks ago. You just secured a new location. Tell me about the
Yes.
dream for that.
So my dream was always to have a house style location for kids to come into just to make them feel, again, safe and secure. They're always doing their visits at the local DC, we call it DCP&P here in New Jersey office. Or they go to the therapist's office and it's, very commercialized and stuff. And there's nothing that makes them, I feel, that doesn't make them feel comfortable and warm and safe. So I love the house location type style that we can make it, like a living room and a playroom and a little library type thing or something. And we were blessed. July 1st, we secured a nice space. It's like a little ranch style house, and we're so excited about it. And I just feel like the good vibes. As soon as you walk in there, you feel a good vibe about it.
That's awesome. The house idea, it just makes it, so much nicer and there's so much you can do about it. I know we talked about, a garden and other things, so I think it's going to be beautiful. Um, Talk a little bit about the local community. I know you have done some partnerships. I've seen the stuff online that you've done with the police department. I know you've done some stuff with local businesses. So how important are those partnerships with the community, with businesses, even with other nonprofits, if that makes sense, for both We Are Loved and in general in the nonprofit sector?
Partnerships are amazing and they're super, super important. If people can partner, collaborate together, it's not a competition. The more we can work together, the more kids or people we can serve. And it's good for the people that we are serving to see that it is community based and there are more people that care about them that they wouldn't even think of that was important or we even thought they even existed, right? So I find that it's so important to, again, and not reinvent the wheel in some things, right? So I might have a thought that I want to do. We our comfort bags, and we did our comfort bags, but maybe somebody else already is doing it. So why reinvent the wheel? Why don't we collaborate with them and say, hey, we'll take these certain towns and we'll make the comfort bags, and you could take these certain towns and make the comfort bags, So it's like important for us to definitely work with the community. The local police departments are amazing. They're so happy that we were able to give them these bags because they're always the bad guy when they're going in and removing these kids, but they're trying to really keep the kids safe, but they don't see that, right? So when they have these comfort bags with a snack and some food in there and a comfort, stuffed animal or something for the kids to do, definitely breaks down that barrier and it makes them look like they're not a bad guy anymore, kind of thing. And it definitely works.
That's awesome. So what do you hope someone who interacts with We Are Love, whether it's a child, a volunteer, a partner, what do you hope they walk away believing or feeling?
I hope they walk away with the feeling that it only takes one person in your life to show you that they care about you to make a difference in the rest of your life.
I love it. I love it. One-on-one, making a difference and just feeling. I think it's good. It's obviously it's important and empowering for the children, but I think it's also empowering for the community, for donors, supporters, partners to see, wow, we really did something that changed a life. And I think that's great. So looking forward, and maybe you don't want to look too far forward, but a few years, what does We Are Love look like? I mean, do you keep expanding to other communities or do you just keep, focusing on growing the programs?
So we definitely want to expand in other communities. Like I said before, unfortunately, foster care is not going to go away anytime soon. What we would like to do is set up little sub hubs in each of the counties that we work in, so that we're able to service them a little bit better. Right now, we work out of our county, which is Monmouth County. So getting the stuff to the other counties, sometimes it's an hour or more drive away, for them to come pick it up or for us to get stuff to them. So we're trying to gather and get volunteers in each of the counties, a small amount, but enough that can help and say, okay, we need 10 birthday boxes in Somerset County, or we need, 10 comfort bags for this police department over, in Middlesex County, or so that they don't all have to come into our Monmouth County and make that commute or whatever, and we can probably better serve them. And it would be more, I think it would be more beneficial for the community and the people that we're serving in those communities.
That's great. That, it's a realistic, but yet a little bit of a stretch dream. So I think it's a good goal. So final real question. When people talk about Phyllis DiNardi 20 years from now, and I know you don't like to focus on yourself necessarily, but what do you hope they say about you?
It wasn't as a nutcase as I thought. I thought they thought I was. I do say and do things sometimes that are out of the box, and I think I freak out people sometimes. My personality, I have a pretty strong personality, but I hope that they see that, my love for kids and for what I believed in, shine through, and was able to help as many people or as many kids as possible to be successful in their future.
That's perfect. Well, Phyllis, you're a force, not like a loud screaming force, or at least not that I've seen. There may be there may be some moments, but a consistent show up for others force because you listen, you care, you turn heartbreak into fuel. What you've done is just absolutely inspiring. And that force, I think, draws in a lot of other people, and that's the key because you can't do this on your own, as you've talked about today. And for the folks listening to this, if there's one thing I hope you take from this conversation, it's that love doesn't end when the placement happens, right? It needs to keep going. And support doesn't always have to look like money either. Sometimes it looks like just showing up again and again and again for these children. So you can learn a lot more about her work at wearelove.info, and I'll drop that link in. And if something Phyllis said today really resonates, moved you, I encourage you to reach out and see how you can support this amazing organization. And if nothing else, to say thank you to Phyllis and her team for the work they're doing on behalf of these children. Thank you for listening. And Phyllis, thank you so much for both what you do and for joining me today. And I too am very, very excited that we somehow stumbled upon each other, probably well over a year ago on LinkedIn, because it's just been an amazing story, and it's wonderful to know you.
And thank you, Dan, because you have been an inspiration and a support for us in many different ways that you don't even imagine. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure.